Okay, here we are in front of the Jupiter-8, and let's go over the various key modes and assign modes of the Jupiter-8 and show you some of the functionality you get on a Jupiter-8. So basically, when you first turn it on, I think you're basically in poly mode, and there's the various assign modes here, solo, unison, and poly. I'm going to get into those a little later. First thing we're going to do is go over the key modes of the Jupiter-8. And as you can see, the Jupiter-8 has a lower and upper modes here. And you can change the balance on the modes, so you're listening to the lower and upper section while you're editing if you want. I'm just going to leave that in the middle right now. So when you're in a split mode, you can switch between lower and upper. So your panel, you're editing the lower and upper as you do it. And what happens in split mode is you actually have the Jupiter-8 split the keyboard into two halves, which was one of the great features about the Jupiter-8 when it came out, is you could actually effectively play two synths. You could have your bass on one side and your leads in the other, which is super nice. So I actually have it split up right now, and as you can see, I've got sort of an fat brassy bass here, and then at this the C3 key, it switches over to more of a string, so you can play both at the same time. And the way the Jupiter-8 works is actually assigns the lower and upper out like a different audio channel. So you effectively have your left and right. So your strings will be on the right and your bass is on the left, which is kind of interesting. But what will happen is when you go into the dual and whole modes, that'll effectively create a stereo patch. So you have your split mode, which is pretty basic, and then you have dual mode, which effectively gets rid of the split and just plays the upper and lower across the whole keyboard. So now you can hear that those sounds are layered together. So you have a brass and string, which is pretty nice. And you actually, again, when you're in split, you only get four tones assigned to each split. So you've got 2 octaves, and then you've got a voice, 4 voices. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and nothing else happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, nothing else happens. So when you go into dual mode and they're layered, again, you get 4, but they're layered on top of each other. Nothing else. That's a pretty nice thick sound. Whole mode gives you one sound, but you get 8 voices. So that's if you want like a lot of polyphony, you would just go into whole mode, and you just get one nice patch. But you're gonna get eight. You're gonna actually get 8 sounds, 8 voices on that now. So dual is pretty nice. Again, if you go into the same patch on dual, which I've got here, you get more of a stereo effect now because you're getting 4 on one side and 4 on the other. So that's pretty nice for big stereo type effects. And you're only going to get 4 voices, but it's in stereo. Okay, so let's go into the poly modes, which is pretty awesome. So I'm just going to keep it pretty simple here, and we'll get a sound. So we're in poly 1. You can see it gives you, poly 1 gives you the full release on every key as you play it. So that key has a certain release on it. I'm just going to adjust that a bit. There you go. Poly 2, which I don't use a whole lot, cuts off the release on the notes as you hold them and only plays the release on the last note. There's poly 1. There's poly 2. You can hear the difference there. Poly 2. I think some lead type players like Poly 2 gives it more of a lead synth sort of vibe. Solo, of course, is 4 leads, and it gives you the ability to do that kind of weird thing where you just get one note assigned at a time, and it's lower notes. So if you do that to the upper, you're not gonna a note above it, you're not gonna get it, but you get that sort of Moog vibe if you want. Unison doesn't give you that mode. Unison just stacks up all the voices, and Unison's really cool because it'll actually release voices so that you can play another voice if you've got too many held down. So it'll go to 4, but it still lets you effectively play a polyphonic sort of style with assigning as many voices as it can to the next possible voice that comes up. So you can get some pretty fat sounds, but it still gives it, if you play 1, you're going to get all 4 voices. Then it's going to be 3 voices, 2 voices, 4 voices, 3 voices, 2 voices, 1 voice, and then nothing. So a lot of people love Unison Mode. So that's basically the mode assignment on a Jupiter-8. It's pretty straightforward, pretty standard Roland fare. They carried it across other synths like the Jupiter-6, but it gives you a lot of flexibility. Again, you can play leads and solos. We can go into split mode again here and change that upper sound, and then still have that nice fat synth in the bass. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching the video.